Hi folks, I got a couple of these cheapy solar charge controllers from AliExpress. They're PWM charge controllers. This is a 12 and 24 volt version, 10 amps. If you look at the spec here, hopefully you can see it on the camera. If the camera focuses, maybe you can see it there. So it's 12, 24 volts, 10 amps, 50 volts in total PV, and if you're using 12 volts it's 120 watts, and if you're using 24 volts it's 240 watts. So there you go, hopefully you can see that. So these are cheap and cheerful, okay, and if I break them, I break them. But they said that you can't use a bench power supply for your solar input, that you have to use PV. And I want to kind of experiment with that and have a play with it to prove them wrong, and to say, well, actually, you know, you should be able to put in, this is going to DC, you should be able to put in anything, it doesn't have to be a solar panel. So what I've done is right here, just to have a battery plugged in somewhere, I have a DeWalt battery which is 18 volts 5 amps. So I needed a converter which converts 18 volts 20 volts to 12 volts. So what's coming out of here of the charge controller is 12 volts. So that comes out 12 volts, and then I connect that up to the DeWalt battery. And as you can see on the panel there, you've got 12 volts. Now, something to remember when you're using charge controllers, always make sure you plug in your battery before you plug in your PV or your DC, because you'll damage the charge controller. Okay, so always plug in your battery first before you plug in any input like your PV or your bench power supply. So I have the bench power supply beside me here, and I've set it to 12 volts and 2 amps. Okay, so we'll just wire that up here, and then we'll switch on the bench power supply. And you'll notice that that was the load button, by the way. I just pressed that on and off, the load button for the USB. Oh, sorry, not for the USB, for here, for the load button there. If you can put a load like a light bulb or something in there if you want. So as you can see, you're seeing the battery, but you're not getting any PV coming in. And the reason why is you have to have more power coming in than what's going out, because if you don't have, it's not going to work. So at the moment my bench power supply is at 12 volts and the battery is at 12 volts. So one's not higher than the other, they're both equal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the bench power supply to 15 volts, and let's see what happens. Right, now the bench power supply is at 15 volts, and now the PV is working and saying there's input coming in, and now it's charging the battery. And it hasn't broke. So it kind of proves the point that you can use DC input to a charge controller in most cases and it won't break it. It doesn't have to be just PV. And if you press the button here, you can flick through the screens and tell you different bits of information. B2 is for lithium, and back to the screen. So that is saying, because the PV sign has come up there, that's saying now that that's charging that DeWalt battery. And that's really it. These are cheap and cheerful, AliExpress, PWM, very cheap. I'll put the actual device, the purchase of the charge controller on AliExpress up on the screen for you now, and you can have a look and see how cheap they are and where you can get them. But I just wanted to test. I'm doing a bit of testing. As you know, if you watch my other videos, I'm going to be using LEDs to generate power using solar panels, and I'm crunching the numbers and doing a few calculations and having to play. Now, because charge controllers, because the PWMs, if you have more power coming in with an MPPT charge controller, that will transfer that extra power to charge the battery. But PWM charge controllers don't do that. So they're limited, they're very basic, that's why they're cheap. So I'm going to have to get a couple of MPPT charge controllers, but I got these just to play around with, and if I broke it, I broke it. I just wanted to see what would happen, and it works fine. It works fine. So there you go. So if you buy these cheapy ones, they do the job if you want to play with them. But I think, as I said, MPPT controllers will be the ones I'll use for my project. So folks, if you like what you see in the video, click like, subscribe and all that jazz. And I'll see you on the next video. As I say, I'm waiting on deliveries to come in from AliExpress so I can start experimenting with these solar panels and maximize the performance from the panels. And hopefully we'll get around to having a project that I can actually demo and show you. Cheers.